Hi, everyone. Welcome to the walkthrough of the Rarible Starter app based on the Scaffold ETH framework. This starter app is available on my GitHub under the Scaffold ETH repo. It's forked directly from Scaffold ETH from Austin Griffith, and I'll put the link in the description. I'm working on the Rarible Starter app branch. So once you clone this repo, just make sure that you're working on the same branch. Similar to most Scaffold ETH apps, just yarn install and run yarn start, and that'll boot up your React development server. So we can see here what that looks like before we do any sort of configuration. We've got a tab for your collectibles, which will populate based on the NFTs that we mint using the default collection. We've got lazy minting, where we'll be able to mint directly using the Rarible lazy minting API and contracts. The item indexer, which will allow us to pull NFT metadata. The order indexer, which will allow us to match orders and just to see what orders exist for a specific item, and then some helpers for IPFS upload and download. Important thing to mention is that this is all running on Ropsten, because that is where the Rarible protocol is deployed. It's on Ropsten, Rinkeby, and Mainnet. Ropsten is the best one to use for development purposes. That's where I've found everything to be the most stable. So the first thing that we're going to do is deploy a new version of the collectibles contract to Ropsten. Make sure that you have run yarn accounts and yarn generate as shown in the README, and make sure that you get some Ropsten ETH from the faucet. So I've already done that, run yarn deploy, and I have a new version of my contract at this address, which is the B37 address. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into my React app and change the address for the your collectible. In some of the other Scaffold ETHs, this is all hooked up automatically, but mine is not. So now that we have put this in here, our app should be rendering any NFTs that are on that collection. This was just deployed a moment ago, so there are no NFTs there yet. So what I can do is run yarn mint. Inside of the minting script, make sure that you have your MetaMask address, your browser wallet address. So mine starts with 7442. So I'm going to run yarn mint. This is all using the standard images from the Scaffold ETH NFT tutorials. So we've got our buffalo, our zebra, rhino, fish, flamingo, and Godzilla. And let's see if those transactions are going through. Looks like all of them have come in. And as they get mined, they should show up in our starter app. And here they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different NFTs here. This is where this starts to deviate from the standard NFT example. What we can do is from this UI, actually sell these using the Rarible protocol. In order to use the Rarible exchange, we need to approve the exchange contract to transfer these NFTs on our behalf. So I'm going to grab that contract address. So this is the NFT transfer proxy address. And I'm going to hit approve. So if we go back to our collection, we can see now the deploy, the 6 mints transactions, and also this pending transaction, which is the approval transaction. I'll wait for this to mine, and then we'll actually be able to create a sell order for one of our collectibles. All right, that is approved. So let's click sell for ETH, and let's sell it for half an ETH. So when we do this, we're not actually submitting a transaction on chain. We're signing a local order and submitting it to the Rarible API to be indexed. So I can hit create sell order. And I can see that, again, this is not a transaction you're paying for. This is just saying that me, 0x744, I want to sell this NFT, and I want to receive 0.5 ETH for it. It's all decoded in here. So So let's sign that. That should actually already be incorporated. So let's grab our contract address and go to the variable order indexer and see if we can find that order. And we can. So we can see that this item is being sold for 0.5 ETH. The cool thing is that the variable site, the Ropsten variable site, also indexes this stuff. So I can go here, just filling out the contract address and the token ID, and the variable indexer is automatically going to pick up this thing that we just minted on Ropsten, and we can see that it was minted and listed for 0.5 ETH. But let's do all of this using the protocol and the starter app. So I'm going to switch to a second wallet so we can show that it can transfer between wallets. Again, I'm going to paste in the collectibles address, get the sell orders, and I'm going to select fill order. So this is not a signature. This is an actual transaction. There is a way that you can submit a bid signature back to the seller. But in this case, we're happy with that 0.5 ETH offer. So we're just going to go ahead and fill it. And my transaction has started. Once this succeeds, we'll be able to see that 0.5 ETH has gone from the buyer to the seller, and the NFT has gone from the seller to the buyer. And we can see that. So 0.5 ETH, seller to buyer to seller, and one your collectible NFT gone from the seller to the buyer. So I'm going to refresh the Rarible site. And now I can see that it was actually purchased for 0.5 ETH by my by my 0x55 or 5AA address. That is pretty cool. The Rarible team actually exposes the same API that's used for this site to anyone. So the Rarible item indexer, I can click this tab, hit contract address, token ID, and all that same data that's used to render it on Rarible site, I can render it right here in my browser. And one of the features I added to the starter app was a way that from here you can just create a sell order right from within here. This should be pretty helpful for figuring out how to integrate NFT marketplaces into your own applications. So we covered standard minting on Ropsten with creating a sell and a matching buy order on Ropsten. Let's also discuss lazy minting. So if we go back here to the contract, we can see that the NFTs were actually minted before we listed them. But what if we wanted to create the NFTs but actually not have them minted until the first buyer buys them? That way the creator isn't stuck with the gas fees. The gas fees are deferred until the actual item is sold. The only thing we actually need for lazy minting is the IPFS hash. This is because we're using the standard Rarible contract, which is deployed on Ropsten. So the token ID, everything, that's all handled automatically. All you need to do is specify the IPFS hash of your metadata. So in here on this IPFS upload page, we're using the bison buffalo yet again. We're going to upload this metadata to IPFS, snag the IPFS hash, paste it in here, and hit mint. And so you'll notice that this is not a transaction, but it's just a signature. So I'm doing an ERC 721 signature, EIP 712 signature of an ERC 721, which can get confusing. And what I'm doing is creating an NFT with this IPFS hash. I can sign it, and now I can grab my token ID. Token ID. The token ID looks really long, but there is a reason for that. We can actually see that, oh, wrong thing. Grab the token ID, decode that, and we can actually see that the hex number is our address with a suffix of a really long number 1. So it's just a nice way to keep for internal accounting for the Rarible and for the contracts to encode some information in the token ID. So that was a lot of talking. Let's actually look and see what this looks like on the item indexer. So even though it has not been deployed on the blockchain yet, we can query it with the item indexer. And just like a normal NFT, we can see the data. I'm using all the same images, but trust me, these are different NFTs. Let's actually take a quick look at the Rarible marketplace as well. So collection address colon token ID. And we can see it. So it's in the Rarible collection, and the owner is our 5AA address. No bids, no history, it's not minted yet or anything. So let's get this thing minted. Let's create a sell order. Let's sell this one for 0.6 ETH. Create a sell order. A lot more data is encoded because we're actually encoding also the NFT metadata in with the order. And signed. That has now been submitted to the order indexer. Let's grab our contract address and token ID, switch our account back to our 744 account. My token ID from before. And let's look for a sell order. Cool. I can see that this lazy minted item is being sold for 0.6 ETH, and I would like to fill that order. Confirm. And my transaction has started. So again, the really cool thing about lazy minting is that this is not, this item has never been deployed before. So this first purchase is actually doing both mint and transferring it to the buyer. Great. We can see that 0.6 ETH was transferred from buyer to seller, and we can see that the NFT was actually minted from 0 directly to the buyer. What does that look like on the Rarible UI? Cool, we can see who the owner is, we can see the history. It was listed for 0.6 ETH, but you can see that it was not preceded by a mint step. And so after it was listed, it was minted and purchased. That's pretty much it for the starter app. You can do all sorts of different types of orders. This just shows you how to do an ETH order. You can also do an ERC20 order. You can do an NFT for NFT swap. All of that is deeper in the docs. Thanks for watching.